Introduction. Friends, if you are excited to watch the super hit anime film Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba, the movie, Mugen Train in English or Japanese, then you must like this video, because today's content is going to be absolutely packed with everything you need to know about this legendary movie. And if you're visiting our channel for the very first time, don't forget to subscribe, because we cover all the latest movie news, anime updates, reviews, and behind-the-scenes info that every fan loves. In today's video, we're taking you aboard the Mugen Train for an unforgettable cinematic ride. Now, Demon Slayer. Mugen Train isn't just any anime film. It's one of the most iconic animated blockbusters of all time. We're going to break down what this movie is, where it fits in the Demon Slayer timeline, and why it became such a global phenomenon. You'll find out exactly where and how you can watch this masterpiece, whether streaming on an OTT platform, available for digital rental, or showing on any satellite channels in your region. We'll go deep into the technical brilliance behind the movie, from the breathtaking animation quality brought to life by the team at Ufotable to the sound design, voice acting, and music that captures every emotion. You're going to learn how this film was crafted so perfectly. We'll explore the creative process during pre-production, how the epic action scenes were choreographed and animated during production, and how post-production took the visual storytelling to the next level. We'll also talk about the financial side of things. What was the budget for this movie? How did it perform at the box office? Did it meet expectations or exceed them? Spoiler alert, it didn't just break records, it smashed them, becoming one of the highest-grossing anime films in history. We'll take a closer look at its domestic success in Japan, and how it became a box office hit in countries around the world. And of course, we'll discuss the story. Without spoiling too much, I'll give you a quick review of the movie's plot, the emotional depth of its narrative, and why this film is considered a turning point in the Demon Slayer saga. We'll talk about the challenges faced by Tanjiro and his friends, the unforgettable presence of the flame Hashira, Kaijiro Rengoku, and the terrifying villain Enmu. We'll discuss how the story builds on the anime's first season and sets the tone for everything that follows. On top of that, we'll go over the voice cast, both in Japanese and English dub. Which actors brought these beloved characters to life? Whose performance stood out the most? We'll also talk about the emotional moments, action sequences, and fan-favorite scenes that left audiences cheering and crying at the same time. We'll wrap up with some amazing facts and trivia you might not know, like what inspired certain parts of the story, how long it took to animate certain scenes, and what the creators had to say about the film's success. We'll even take a quick look at how Mugen Train connects with future seasons of the anime and what fans can expect moving forward. So friends, this video is your complete guide to Demon Slayer, Mugen Train. From start to finish, we're covering every angle, every detail, and every reason why this film became such a cultural milestone. That's why I request you to watch this video till the end, and join me as we board the Mugen Train and dive into the world of Kimetsu no Yaiba. Now, let's start the video. The story of Demon Slayer. Kimetsu no Yaiba, the movie. Mugen Train isn't content with just being a continuation of a hit anime. It feels like a full-fledged emotional epic disguised as a tightly packed action movie. It wastes no time establishing its premise. Instead of a slow build or recap, the film launches immediately from the final moments of Season 1 of the anime series. There's a sense of momentum from the first frame, as Tanjiro, Zenitsu, and Inosuke head out on their next mission, their destination, the mysterious Mugen Train, where over 40 people have disappeared under unknown circumstances. The only clue? Demonic activity. Their mission? Find out what's happening and survive. From the moment they board the train, the atmosphere shifts. The setting is classic horror territory. Long corridors, flickering lamps, the eerie rhythm of wheels on steel tracks. But unlike traditional horror, the tone is infused with the unique personality of each character. Zenitsu brings humor with his exaggerated fear. Inosuke's wild excitement and confusion over how a train even works adds a manic energy. And Tanjiro, as always, is calm and focused. Then enters the flame Hashira, Kaijiro Rengoku, in a moment that's both hilarious and heroic. He's eating bento after bento while declaring delicious at full volume. He seems over the top, but his strength and composure are immediately clear. He's the highest-ranking Demon Slayer on board for a reason. Soon enough, things begin to unravel. The lower rank 1 demon, Enmu, has already set a trap. With a spell, all the main characters are plunged into a deep sleep. But this isn't just ordinary slumber, it's dream entrapment. And here, the movie takes a sharp turn away from sword fights and physical danger and enters an unexpectedly deep psychological zone. Each dream is crafted to be a paradise. Tanjiro finds himself back in an alternate life where his family is alive, the tragedy of the first episode never happened, and there's peace. It's a pure emotional ambush. The storytelling becomes quieter, more introspective, but no less intense. This dream sequence is a brutal character study. It forces Tanjiro to look into his own soul, recognize the falseness of comfort, and make the agonizing decision to break out by essentially dying within the dream. Watching him repeatedly take his own life in this dreamscape just to wake up is deeply disturbing, but also shows his incredible resolve. He chooses pain over delusion. Meanwhile, Inosuke dreams of leading a band of adventurers, including a very confused Zenitsu, through caves and a wild fantasy, and Zenitsu envisions an awkward, overly romantic dream with Nezuko. Rengoku's dream, however, reveals his past, his relationship with his late mother, and his unwavering commitment to duty, a rare and powerful glimpse into his inner world that hits harder the longer it lingers in your memory. Once the characters break free of their dreams, the film ramps up the pace again. Emu's plan becomes clear. He has fused himself with the entire train. The Mugen train is no longer just a setting. It is the villain. The demon has physically become the tracks, the walls, the floor, every inch of this moving death trap. The second act becomes a thrilling sequence of moving battles. Tanjiro and Inosuke rush from one train car to the next, slicing through monstrous tentacles and flesh-like masses. The choreography here is rapid and fluid, with stunning animation from Ufotable that somehow makes each slash, leap, and dodge feel both epic and intimate. But just when the action seems to climax, when Emu is finally defeated and the train derails, the story takes a shocking turn. Instead of slowing down, the film escalates. A new threat arrives without warning. Akaza, an upper-ranked demon far stronger than Enmu. The energy shifts instantly. This isn't a post-battle cooldown. This is the real final battle. Akaza's arrival hits like a punch to the gut. There's no build-up, no chance to catch your breath. He just appears in the wreckage, and the audience immediately senses that Rengoku is in danger. The battle between Rengoku and Akaza is a masterclass in anime storytelling. The animation reaches new heights, but what makes this fight unforgettable isn't just the choreography. It's the emotional weight. Akaza tries to convince Rengoku to become a demon, offering him immortality, power, and the chance to surpass all human limits. But Rengoku refuses. His resolve is unshakable. He fights not just with his sword, but with his beliefs. The fight becomes symbolic. Rengoku stands for the fleeting beauty of human life, for honor, for family, for purpose. Akaza represents a seductive pull of endless strength, the desire to escape mortality, the fear of death. It's not just good versus evil. It's mortality versus immortality, selflessness versus selfish power. When the final blow lands and Rengoku begins to fade, the tone of the film softens. The characters gather around him. There's no victory celebration. There's no dramatic music. Just quiet sorrow in the glow of a sunrise that never felt more symbolic. It's in this silence that the story's impact is most powerful. Rengoku, bleeding and broken, still smiles. He tells Tanjiro to move forward. He tells him that protecting others is always the right choice. He dies not as a warrior who failed, but as one who fulfilled his purpose. And that's what makes this film different from most action-oriented anime. It doesn't glorify survival. It glorifies meaning. The story structure is deceptively complex. While it moves in a linear timeline, it's filled with emotional layers, flashbacks, dream sequences, and moments of internal reflection that deepen the experience. The pacing balances frenetic action with quiet sorrow. The film uses dream worlds to explore what each character desires most, and uses the battles to reveal what they are willing to sacrifice. In the end, Mugen Train isn't just about defeating a demon. It's about the human spirit, about moving forward even when loss seems unbearable. It's about how true strength isn't measured in physical power, but in the willingness to protect others. even at the cost of everything. It's about grief, resolve, and the fleeting brilliance of life. It uses the format of movie to push beyond the boundaries of traditional shonen storytelling, transforming what could have been just a high-budget anime episode into a self-contained, emotionally overwhelming masterpiece. Character development in Demon Slayer. Kimetsu no Yaiba, the movie, Mugen Train doesn't just advance the narrative, it emotionally redefines the characters, deepens their humanity, and elevates them beyond standard archetypes. This film doesn't simply rely on what fans already know about these characters from the anime series. It builds upon it, chisels it, and ultimately lets it erupt in ways that leave lasting emotional echoes. Each main character steps into a spotlight that's both emotionally revealing and narratively significant. And for a movie packed with demon-slaying action, the most powerful transformations don't happen in combat. They happen in the heart. Let's start with Kaijiro Rengoku, the Flame Hashira, who walks into the film like a thunderbolt wrapped in optimism. At first, Rengoku almost feels like a parody of Hiro. He's loud. He's eccentric. He announces everything he does. He eats with comical intensity. But this exaggerated presence isn't a distraction, it's a shield. The movie uses his vibrant outer shell to mask something far more tragic and grounded. Rengoku's confidence isn't arrogance. It's commitment. He's a man who has trained himself not just to be strong, but to embody strength so completely that others can lean on him, even in their darkest moments. You start out laughing with him and end up mourning him. His flashback reveals a strained relationship with his father, a former Hashira who's now cold and bitter. Rengoku didn't grow up with praise. He grew up with silence and disapproval. But what defines him is how he responds to that pain, not with resentment, but with a vow to honor his mother's dying wish, to protect the weak. In every moment of battle, in every decision he makes on that train, you can see that promise guiding him like a flame. Now look at Tanjiro Kamado. He begins his story already courageous, already strong. But this movie forces him into an emotional confrontation that's more terrifying than any demon. The dream Emu traps him in is so perfect, so achingly sweet, that you almost want to stay there forever. His family is alive. There's no war, no pain, just warmth and laughter. But that's the trap, and Tanjiro knows it. The real heroism here isn't in wielding a sword. It's in tearing himself away from a fantasy that would numb his grief. His decision to escape the dream by symbolically killing himself again and again is one of the most brutal acts of emotional courage in anime. It reveals a strength of will that goes far beyond fighting technique. And once he's awake, the trauma doesn't disappear. It fuels him. When he battles Emu, it's not just about defeating a demon. It's about protecting the real world, the painful, imperfect reality he chose over illusion. By the end of the film, Tanjiro's tears and rage when Rengoku dies feel like more than grief. They are a vow to carry that legacy, to become someone worthy of it. Then there's Inosuke, the wild boarhead warrior, who usually plays the role of chaotic comic relief. But this movie gives him more than just screen time. It gives him clarity. Inosuke's dream world is a bizarre fantasy where he leads a team of mole-hunting explorers. It's goofy and off the wall, just like he is. But the way he adapts to the crisis on the train shows something different. When Tanjiro asks for his help, Inosuke doesn't argue. He trusts him. His pride doesn't get in the way. And he doesn't try to be the center of attention. He becomes part of a team. The fight against Emu's demon flesh-trained body showcases Inosuke's combat skill, but more importantly, it shows growth. He listens. He cooperates. He protects others without being asked. It's subtle, but his character arc bends toward maturity without losing his wild energy. Zenitsu, always the most comically terrified of the group, also gets his moment, though his development is gentler. In his dream, he imagines a perfect romance with Nezuko, running hand in hand through glowing fields like a love-struck poet. It's hilarious, but also telling. Zenitsu's dream isn't about power or glory. It's about connection. His deepest desire is simply to be loved and accepted. And even though he spends much of the real-world crisis asleep, the movie reminds us of his secret strength. He's at his best when he doesn't have time to panic. When danger strikes, and he acts in that split-second instinctive way, he's deadly. The contrast between the dreamer and the swordsman makes him a layered presence. He's not fearless, but his fear doesn't define him. Enmu, as a villain, isn't deeply emotional, but he serves as a catalyst for the emotional development of others. His power isn't brute strength. It's manipulation. He gets inside people's heads, not just to hurt them, but to seduce them with comfort. That makes the struggle against him more personal. He's not just trying to kill them. He's trying to make them surrender from the inside out. And their resistance to that, especially Tanjiro's, becomes the real battlefield. And then Akaza crashes into the story like a hurricane. His arrival is sudden, brutal, and completely shifts the tone. He doesn't get a long monologue or a tragic backstory in this movie. He simply arrives and challenges the entire moral structure of the characters. He offers Rengoku immortality, strength, eternal youth. He doesn't understand why someone so powerful would cling to a mortal life. That moment, more than any sword clash, becomes the philosophical climax of the movie. Rengoku's rejection of that offer isn't just about pride. It's about belief. In the face of temptation, he holds fast to the values that define him. It's not enough for him to fight and win. He wants to protect, to inspire, to die standing, if that's what it takes. The emotional blow of Rengoku's death lands hard because the movie has invested so much in making us understand who he is. And the aftermath of that moment isn't a rush to move on. It lingers. The silence, the tears, the way Tanjiro yells at Akaza as he flees, not out of bloodlust, but out of desperation to hold on to someone who is good. That final scene doesn't just end the movie. It transforms the surviving characters. Tanjiro is now carrying not just his own burden, but the memory of a mentor. Inosuke, who usually mocks emotions, cries quietly and then tries to hide it. Zenitsu, even in his silence, looks changed. What's remarkable about Mugen Train is how it treats character development as the real reward of the journey. The battles are spectacular. The visuals are stunning. But the heart of the movie is in these characters learning what they're made of, facing their dreams, losing their heroes, choosing to keep fighting anyway. It's not a movie about who gets stronger. It's about who holds on to their soul. And by the time the credits roll, each character has been scorched by grief, touched by inspiration, and changed by a story that didn't need to reinvent them, only to reveal what was already burning inside. The performances in Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba, the movie, Mugen Train aren't just good. They're emotionally surgical. This film doesn't rely solely on its breathtaking visuals or adrenaline-fueled action sequences to move the audience. What really drives it home and makes it unforgettable is the power of the vocal performances. Whether you're watching in Japanese or English, you're getting actors who pour themselves into their roles with such force and subtlety that they transform these drawn characters into living, breathing, emotionally complicated people. It's a rare kind of voice acting where even the silences are filled with emotion and every cry, breath, or gasp lands like a blade. This is character-driven storytelling where the voices don't follow the animation. They fuel it. Natsuki Hanae, voicing Tanjiro in the original Japanese, delivers one of the most emotionally layered performances in modern anime film. What's remarkable about his work is his sheer vocal range, not just technically, but emotionally. He can shift from calm kindness to a soul-splitting scream in a matter of seconds, and it never feels forced. When Tanjiro first enters his dream state and finds himself surrounded by his family, Hanae softens everything, his cadence, his tone, even his breathing. He speaks like someone who's been broken and suddenly healed. But when he realizes it's all an illusion, Hanae's voice shatters along with the dream. His repeated cries as he stabs himself to wake up are raw and horrifyingly real. You don't just hear Tanjiro's pain, you feel it. Then in the final act, when he's screaming into the horizon after Akaza escapes, there's this unhinged fury in his voice, this desperate cry for justice that's so visceral it almost feels unscripted. It's not just performance, it's a breakdown captured in real time. In the English dub, Zach Aguilar steps into Tanjiro's sandals with an entirely different energy, one that doesn't imitate Hanae but interprets him. Aguilar's Tanjiro has a gentler, almost brotherly tone to him. It's soft without being weak. Where Hanae hits deep sadness with trembling intensity, Aguilar gives a sort of internalized grief, controlled but no less powerful. His performance in the dream sequence is especially poignant. He plays it like Tanjiro is afraid to speak too loudly, as if the dream will vanish if he acknowledges it. And then when it all breaks apart, when Tanjiro awakens and the stakes are life or death again, Aguilar hits those big emotional moments with clarity and emotional weight. His screams don't just sound like battle cries. They sound like someone trying to scream against fate itself. Now let's talk about the scene stealer, the flame that burns brightest, Rengoku. In Japanese, he's voiced by Satoshi Hino, who gives a performance that's nothing short of monumental. Hino begins with theatrical flair. Rengoku's early scenes are loud, confident, even comedic. The way he declares every bite is food delicious, with the gusto of a man reciting Shakespeare, is hilarious. But beneath that loudness, Hino starts to build something much quieter and more profound. When Rengoku speaks about his duty, or he remembers his mother's words, Hino's voice slows, deepens. There's weight in his pauses. You can hear the pressure this man has carried for years. His final moments are delivered with a kind of graceful tragedy that only works because Hino has earned it. When Rengoku says he doesn't have regrets, it's not bragging. It's a final gift to the people he's protecting. And you believe him, because Hino has crafted every line like it was his last. Mark Whitten, in the English dub, takes a slightly different approach, grounding Rengoku in a more serene type of confidence. There's less flamboyance, more steady resolve. Whitten doesn't shout his lines. He declares them. His version of Rengoku is less theatrical, but deeply inspirational. The voice carries dignity. It carries quiet power. When Akaza tempts Rengoku with immortality, Whitten's calm rejection of that offer hits hard, not because it's dramatic, but because it's measured. He sounds like a man who's already made peace with his fate and chooses honor with eyes wide open. And in those final seconds, as he speaks to Tanjiro, his voice drops into something heartbreakingly gentle. It's a goodbye wrapped in encouragement. It's not just a farewell, it's a passing of the torch. Inosuke, voiced in Japanese by Yoshitsugu Matsuoka, is the sonic equivalent of a runaway train. Every line is delivered like he's in a constant state of battle or confusion. But Matsuoka's brilliance is in the consistency. Inosuke isn't just yelling for laughs. His energy is his identity. But during the fight with Enmu, when he begins to cooperate with Tanjiro, you hear something shift. There's a crackle of focus in his shouting. When Rengoku dies and Inosuke awkwardly tries to comfort Tanjiro by yelling at him to stop crying, the slight tremble in Matsuoka's voice reveals more vulnerability than a full breakdown ever could. Bryce Papenbrook, voicing Inosuke in the dub, leans harder into the comedy, but when things get serious, he reins it in just enough to make those moments feel earned. His line delivery in the emotional scenes has just the right balance of aggression and care, which is a tightrope act with a character like Inosuke. You're not supposed to hear him get soft. You're supposed to hear the emotion try and fight through the noise. Zenitsu, voiced by Hiro Shimono in Japanese, is pure chaos wrapped in squeals and shrieks, until he isn't. Shimono plays Zenitsu like he's having a constant panic attack, which is both hilarious and exhausting, but the real magic happens when Zenitsu fights in his sleep. Shimono's voice drops into a calm, controlled rhythm. He goes from hysteria to serenity in a split second, and that contrast is everything. It's what makes Zenitsu feel real. He's not just a comic relief character. He's someone who only finds confidence when he's unconscious. That contradiction is what makes a performance so fascinating. Alex Liu in the English version takes a slightly more emotionally accessible approach. His Zenitsu is still high-strung, still funny, but there's a touch more innocence in the way he plays him. And when the fighting starts, he nails a sudden transition to stillness. The calm voice mid-battle delivers a strange but beautiful sense of grace. You believe that even if Zenitsu never gets over his fears, there's a warrior hidden in him waiting to break through. And then there's Enmu. In Japanese, Daisuke Hirakawa plays him with an unsettling softness, almost like he's trying to seduce the audience into sleeping. His voice is calm, sweet, but laced with sadism. There's something horrifying about the way he talks about dreams and death like they're lullabies. Hirakawa doesn't overact. He plays it like a whisper that never goes away, like a dream you can't escape from. Landon McDonald, in the English version, dials up the theatricality without losing that creep factor. His Enmu sounds like he's enjoying himself way too much. It's that glee, that sick pleasure in other people's pain, that makes his performance effective. He treats horror like art, and that makes him unforgettable, even if he's eventually overshadowed by a bigger threat. Akaza, voiced by Akira Ishida in Japanese, arrives late but makes an unforgettable impression. Ishida brings a haunting stillness to the character. He's not growling or posturing. He's philosophical. He sounds like a monk who's lost his way. Haruo Sotozaki's direction in Demon Slayer. Kimetsu no Yaiba, the movie. Mugen Train goes beyond mere technical control. It is artistic orchestration at its most deliberate, emotionally immersive, and viscerally engaging. He isn't simply moving characters from scene to scene. He's weaving a tapestry of sensations, moods, and quiet reflections that crescendo into thunderous action, then plunge into silence again, forcing you to feel every pulse of the story. What makes his direction so singular is how carefully he balances grandeur with intimacy, spectacle with soul. This is not just a film that looks good. It feels like something greater than the sum of its parts because every element flows through his steady hand. Let's start with tone, because that's where Sotozaki asserts himself right away. The entire film is cloaked in an atmosphere that feels both gentle and sinister, like you stepped into a dream that could turn into a nightmare at any second. He establishes this using more than just visuals. He uses space, rhythm, and mood. There's no rush in the beginning. Characters are allowed to sit, eat, talk, observe. Sotozaki trusts silence. He knows that giving characters time to exist in the frame, without rushing to the next plot point, allows the audience to connect with them on a deeper level. When Tanjiro boards a train, it's not the grand, rousing entrance you'd expect. It's quiet, almost mundane. And that quiet becomes a ground from which the surreal horror can later rise. Sotozaki plays with contrasts like a composer plays with volume. Dream sequences float with soft pastels and ambient lighting, while battle scenes erupt with deep shadows, blood-red tones, and bright, flashing elemental attacks. Yet the transition between these extremes is never jarring. He doesn't just cut between worlds. He melts them together, easing you from one realm into another. When Tanjiro falls into his dream, the tone doesn't shift with a bang. It gently dissolves into warmth and nostalgia, lulling you just enough before slowly pulling the emotional rug from beneath your feet. The pacing of Mugen Train is a remarkable achievement. It has a deceptively simple plot. Characters board a train, confront a demon, fight to survive. But Sotozaki stretches this arc into a multi-layered journey with emotional peaks and valleys that feel earned. He allows moments of tension to build patiently. He lets action explode only when the emotional stakes have reached boiling point. When characters fall into their dreams, the story slows to a near stop, but that pause isn't wasted. It's filled with introspection. In Tanjiro's dream world, time dilates. Sotozaki lingers on quiet scenes with his family. The camera doesn't dart around. It rests, gently soaking in every smile, every sunbeam, every breath of an ordinary life Tanjiro can never return to. These still moments are what give the film its emotional gravity. You know what's coming, and the director lets that anticipation fester, like an emotional time bomb. And when that bomb explodes, when Tanjiro realizes a dream is false and must repeatedly kill himself in his sleep to awaken, the film hit a fever pitch of emotional pain and spiritual disorientation. Sotozaki doesn't flinch. He captures each of Tanjiro's self-inflicted dream deaths not as gore or shock value, but as devastating acts of courage. His dream becomes a stage for psychological warfare, and the way Sotozaki blocks, frames, and scores these sequences turns inward conflict into epic drama. It's a high-concept risk that many directors would gloss over, but Sotozaki builds it into the very bones of the movie. As the action ramps up, Sotozaki's control becomes even more impressive. The trained Demon Emu's full reveal could have been a mess in the hands of a less focused director. The idea of the entire train being a living, malevolent creature is wild, but Sotozaki executes it with clarity and purpose. He uses wide tracking shots and long takes to maintain spatial awareness, so the viewer never loses their place in the chaos. The camera swirls and flows with the characters, not around them. Action is never just action. Every blow, every technique, is rooted in desperation, resolve, and fear. The characters fight like their lives and souls depend on it, and Sotozaki films them like it matters. Then comes the final act. When Akaza appears, Sotozaki pulls the floor out from beneath the story again. Just when you think the climax is past, he injects a new layer of danger, a new antagonist. And, most shockingly, he makes the climax not about Tanjiro at all. He shifts the focus to Rengoku. That choice alone is bold. In a story where the main protagonist is clearly Tanjiro, handing the emotional climax over to a supporting character is rare. But Sotozaki does it with complete confidence. And it works, because Rengoku isn't just a supporting character in this moment. He becomes the heart of the film. The way Sotozaki directs Rengoku's battle with Akaza is operatic. Every movement is exaggerated not for style, but for mythic weight. The fire surrounding Rengoku's blade becomes a visual metaphor for his soul, burning bright, unyielding, full of passion. Sotozaki slows time during key strikes. He zooms in on eyes, trembling hands, broken ribs. He draws out the final moments of the fight, not with dramatic flair, but with tragic reverence. And when Rengoku makes his final stand, when he plants his feet and refuses to let Akaza flee before sunrise, Sotozaki holds a frame on him like a sculpture in motion. It's not just a fight. It's a spiritual standoff between mortality and invincibility, and the director presents it like a myth being written in real time. Then the final blow lands. And Sotozaki doesn't move on. He doesn't rush. He lets you stay there, in the quiet, in the tears, in the devastation. There's no rousing victory speech. Instead, there is silence. We see Inosuke cry behind his boar mask. We hear Zenitsu's trembling voice. We watch Tanjiro scream at the sunrise, powerless, as the enemy escapes. Sotozaki doesn't cut to black. He cuts to pain, and he lingers. Throughout the film, Sotozaki's fingerprints are on every layer: editing, sound design, color theory, emotional pacing, and most crucially, narrative control. He treats Mugen Train not like an animated detour, but like a story worth telling with gravity and fire. He directs like a man who believes deeply in the souls of his characters, and that belief is what elevates the film from a successful anime adaptation into a timeless, emotional epic. The cinematography in Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba, the movie, Mugen Train stands as a breathtaking testament to how animated films can harness visual storytelling techniques typically reserved for live-action cinema. It's easy to overlook animation as simply drawing, but this film's cinematography demonstrates how framing, lighting, camera movement, and composition all merge into a powerful narrative force. The movie uses these tools not just to dazzle, but to deepen emotion, build tension, and craft an immersive atmosphere that pulls viewers right into the characters' struggles and triumphs. Starting with camera angles, the film wields perspective like a painter's brush, deliberately choosing viewpoints that enhance storytelling on a subconscious level. When Rengoku first appears, he is frequently shot from low angles that exaggerate his stature and presence, making him seem larger than life, a blazing beacon of hope and strength. These shots visually announce his role as a heroic figure, someone to look up to, both literally and figuratively. Contrast that with how Tanjiro's dream sequences are framed. Tight close-ups, tilted angles, and confined spaces that suggest entrapment within his subconscious. The camera almost closes in on him, trapping the audience alongside the character in this eerie, dreamlike realm. This shifting use of angles keeps the audience emotionally engaged without needing dialogue. It's visual storytelling at its purest. Lighting is another cornerstone of the film's cinematography, used with precision to underscore mood shifts and emotional beats. Early dream sequences are drenched in warm, golden light, the kind of soft, nostalgic glow that evokes feelings of safety and yearning. Sunlight filters through leaves, flickers across walls, and bathes Tanjiro's family in a tender, almost magical radiance. But when the dream starts to unravel, that warmth is slowly snuffed out by cold, sterile light and deep shadows. The lighting shifts from comforting to threatening, mirroring Tanjiro's dawning horror and desperation. During intense battle scenes, lighting becomes wildly dynamic. Flames crackle and leap, casting flickering shadows that dance unpredictably on characters' faces and surroundings, heightening the sense of chaos and danger. It's not just illumination. It's an active participant in the story, flickering with the pulse of conflict. Framing choices in Mugen Train are equally deliberate and evocative. The director frequently uses wide shots to convey isolation or grandeur. One memorable example is a scene where Rengoku stands on a rooftop of the moving train, silhouetted against a vast, stormy sky. The framing dwarfs him within the immense backdrop, visually communicating both his loneliness as a warrior and the monumental challenge ahead. This shot lingers, inviting the viewer to absorb not just the spectacle, but the emotional weight behind the hero's stance. On the other hand, moments of camaraderie and teamwork are often framed with tight, balanced compositions that highlight the bonds between characters. Tanjiro, Zenitsu, and Inosuke often appear grouped together in symmetrical arrangements that reinforce their unity and shared purpose. This visual language of composition deepens the emotional texture of the film, subtly telling stories about relationships without a single word. When it comes to motion, the camera in this animated world moves with breathtaking fluidity and creativity. The filmmakers employ sweeping tracking shots and daring perspectives that would be difficult, if not impossible, in live action without expensive equipment. The battle sequences, particularly against Enmu and later Akaza, showcase this to dazzling effect. The camera swoops through narrow train corridors, flips upside down with gravity-defying acrobatics, and dives alongside characters in high-speed chases. These movements create a visceral sensation of being right in the middle of the action, making every leap, slash, and dodge feel immediate and dangerous. One especially thrilling shot shows Tanjiro leaping off the train, with the camera rotating around him, flipping perspective to disorient and exhilarate the audience simultaneously. It's an immersive choreography of movement that mirrors the character's frantic energy and desperation. Color design in the cinematography also plays a crucial narrative role. The film leans heavily into contrasting palettes to symbolize thematic elements and character dynamics. Rengoku's flame techniques blaze with vivid reds, oranges, and golds that flood the screen with warmth and life. These colors don't just look beautiful. They embody his fiery spirit, passion, and unwavering resolve. In stark contrast, Akaza's attacks come coated in icy blues and grays, cold and unyielding, visually representing his detached, ruthless nature. This clash of color not only intensifies the fight scenes visually, but also metaphorically illustrates the conflict between life-affirming human courage and the chilling detachment of a demon who has lost his humanity. Even the subtler cinematographic touches add depth. The film lingers on reflections, rippling water surfaces, polished train windows that mirror the character's inner turmoil and the blurred lines between dreams and reality. A close-up of Tanjiro's eyes reflecting flickering flames conveys his burning determination without dialogue. Shots of Nezuko peacefully asleep, bathed in pale moonlight, evoke innocence and mystery, reminding viewers of what the heroes fight to protect. These details enrich the visual narrative, turning every frame into a layered storytelling moment. Sodazaki and his team also masterfully employ visual motifs and recurring imagery throughout the film. The train itself is framed with strong linear perspective, emphasizing its long, narrow confines that feel simultaneously like a prison and a battleground. Smoke and fire swirl through many frames, symbolizing chaos, transformation, and the constant push and pull between destruction and hope. Water surfaces appear as motifs during emotional beats, representing reflection and the fluidity between dreams and waking life. These repeated visual themes weave through the cinematography like threads, creating cohesion and resonance beyond individual scenes. In quieter sequences, the cinematography shifts gears and revels in the beauty of simplicity. Soft, naturalistic lighting, gentle camera movements, and intimate close-ups create moments of calm that balance the film's intense action. These peaceful shots aren't filler. They're essential breathers that allow the audience to process the stakes, connect with characters, and anticipate the looming conflict. The juxtaposition of these serene moments with explosive battle scenes makes the film's emotional highs and lows hit all the harder. Overall, the cinematography in Mugen Train is a masterclass in how visual language can elevate storytelling. It uses every tool, angle, light, color, framing, movement, not just to capture scenes, but to deepen meaning, create atmosphere, and draw the audience fully into its world. The result is a film that feels both intimate and epic, grounded in character emotions, while soaring through breathtaking spectacle. It's a vivid reminder that great cinematography isn't limited to live action. It can shine brilliantly in animation when wielded by a creative team with vision and passion. The editing and pacing of Demon Slayer. Kimetsu no Yaiba, the movie, Mugen Train are true masterclasses in cinematic rhythm, sculpting the film's emotional and narrative flow with expert precision. The editors don't simply stitch scenes together. They orchestrate a heartbeat that pulses through the entire story, guiding viewers through moments of calm and chaos with a sense of purpose and timing that feels effortless, even though achieving such flow is incredibly difficult. Right from the film's opening moments, the pacing reveals a deliberate choice to ease the audience into the world rather than overwhelm them. Instead of dropping us straight into a high-octane battle or dramatic conflict, the editing allows for breathing room. Scenes of the characters chatting, sharing meals, and riding the train unfold with a relaxed tempo. These early sequences could have felt slow or inconsequential in lesser hands, but here, the editors expertly balance the cuts to create a cozy, familiar atmosphere. The timing between shots is just long enough to let subtle expressions, fleeting glances, and body language register fully. This patience and pacing draws viewers in, making them feel part of the character's camaraderie, which in turn raises the emotional stakes for what's to come. We care about these people because the film takes the time to show us who they are before the nightmare unfolds. The transitions between reality and the dream world are among the most impressive feats of editing in the film. These shifts could easily confuse an audience or break immersion, but the editing team employs a delicate hand, using fades, dissolves, and carefully timed cuts to create a fluid, almost hypnotic flow between the two realms. The dream sequences themselves have a languid pace that feels suspended in time, reinforced by longer takes and softer edits. This not only establishes a clear contrast with the urgency of the real world, but also subtly disorients viewers, mirroring Tanjiro's own confusion and entrapment. The editors understand that clarity is key when juggling complex narrative layers, and their choice to smooth over these transitions preserves engagement without sacrificing mystery. Once the supernatural tension kicks in and the battles ignite, the editing shifts gears dramatically, increasing pace without sacrificing coherence. Fight scenes are famously challenging to edit, as the temptation is often to cut too rapidly, which can create chaos and confusion. However, Mugen Train strikes a near-perfect balance. The cuts during battles are punchy and dynamic, but carefully paced to highlight key movements, reactions, and hits. Each swing of the sword and burst of flame is given room to land, making the action feel weighty and impactful rather than frenetic noise. The editors slice footage in rhythm with the score, crafting sequences that feel choreographed as much as directed. This meticulous timing creates an exhilarating, almost dance-like quality to the fights, pulling the audience into the thick of combat. The climactic duel between Rengoku and Akaza showcases the editing's nuanced control over pacing and emotional intensity. Rather than relentlessly speeding through every exchange, the editing employs a pattern of accelerations and pauses. Rapid cuts during attack flurries give way to lingering shots that capture expressions, grit, pain, determination, that convey the psychological stakes. The editors wisely insert moments of silence and slower pacing to let the raw emotion soak in, making each punch not just a physical impact, but an emotional blow. The rhythm here mirrors the fighter's exhaustion and resolve, making the audience feel the ebb and flow of battle energy. This ebb and flow is a reminder that pacing is not just about speed, but about emotional storytelling. Beyond the big action set pieces, the editing maintains engagement during quieter, character-driven moments with equal skill. Dialogue scenes are cut with impeccable timing that mimics natural conversation, avoiding awkward pauses or rush exchanges. Emotional beats, like Tanjiro's repeated self-inflicted deaths in the dream, are paced to heighten desperation and frustration. The editors linger just enough on his futile attempts to wake up, letting the tension mount with each failure without feeling repetitive. This builds a suffocating rhythm that puts viewers inside Tanjiro's nightmare, showcasing editing's power to create psychological depth. The film also smartly uses pacing to manage tone shifts between intense drama and much-needed levity. Comic relief moments, such as Zenitsu's panicked antics or Rengoku's exuberant personality, are strategically placed and edited to provide breathing space. These lighter scenes never undercut the story stakes because the cuts are brisk and playful, keeping the energy lively without breaking the emotional thread. The editing preserves narrative momentum by balancing humor and seriousness, a delicate juggling act that few films manage so gracefully. A particularly clever editorial device is the manipulation of time perception through pacing. Dream sequences unfold in slow motion, with elongated shots and soft fades that evoke the timelessness and surreal quality of dreams. Reality, especially during battle scenes, feels immediate and accelerated, with tighter cuts and faster rhythms. This stark contrast amplifies the film's central theme of blurred boundaries between illusion and truth. The audience doesn't just witness Tanjiro's internal struggle, they experience it viscerally through pacing alone. Moreover, the editors excel in managing the film's overall length and narrative scope. Despite packing an enormous amount of story, emotion, action into roughly 2 hours, the film rarely feels overstuffed or exhausting. The pacing carefully calibrates where to accelerate and where to pause, maintaining a steady, engaging flow that respects the audience's emotional bandwidth. Every scene feels purposeful. There's no padding or filler. Instead, the editing crafts a tightly woven narrative tapestry where every thread matters. The seamless transitions between scenes and tonal shifts also deserve special mention. The editing creates invisible bridges from one scene to the next, avoiding jarring cuts or confusion. Whether moving from a heartfelt character moment to a high-stakes fight or shifting between dream and reality, the flow remains fluid and intuitive. This smoothness keeps viewers fully immersed, allowing emotional peaks and valleys to build naturally without disruption. In essence, the editing and pacing in Mugen Train don't just support the story, they drive it. They sculpt how the audience feels when they feel it and how deeply, from the patient opening sequences that nurture emotional connection, to the frenetic battles that surge with adrenaline, to the quiet, aching moments that linger just long enough. The film's rhythm is a masterful blend of discipline and artistry. The editors have created an emotional journey that moves like a living organism, sometimes slow and steady, sometimes explosive and intense, but always perfectly timed to maximize impact. It's a pulse that carries the audience through every twist and turn, making the film an unforgettable experience from first frame to final credit. The soundtrack and score of Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba, the movie, Mugen Train are nothing short of a sonic masterpiece that elevates the entire film beyond just visuals and story. Crafted by the talented composers Yuki Kajura and Go Shina, the music functions as an emotional heartbeat that pulses through every scene, shaping atmosphere, heightening tension, and amplifying emotional depth in ways that dialogue or visuals alone could never achieve. The score is carefully calibrated, not just slapped on as background noise, but intricately woven into the fabric of the film, enhancing the storytelling while maintaining a perfect balance, so it never overshadows a narrative or performances. One of the most striking aspects of the score is its incredible versatility. The film's tone shifts dramatically, from quiet, reflective moments to heart-racing battles to heartbreaking tragedy, and the music adapts fluidly to these changes. The opening sequences, which depict the characters' quiet interactions on the train, are accompanied by gentle, soothing melodies primarily built around piano and soft strings. This music blankets these scenes in a warm, intimate glow, inviting the audience into a space of calm and connection before the storm. The editing and camera work establish the physical setting, but it's the music that fills the emotional space, making you feel like you're sitting alongside Tanjiro, Zenitsu, and Inosuke, sharing in their camaraderie and brief respite. Recurring musical motifs provide a powerful emotional through line throughout the film. For example, Rengoku, the Flame Hashira, has a distinct theme characterized by bold brass, soaring strings, and energetic percussion that captures his fiery passion and indomitable spirit. This theme returns in various forms, sometimes triumphant and explosive during his heroic feats, other times subdued and melancholic in quieter, reflective moments. It acts almost like a musical signature, reminding the audience of his unwavering resolve and the warmth he brings to those around him. Similarly, Tanjiro's themes often utilize ethereal instrumentation, delicate woodwinds, shimmering chimes, and sustained notes to evoke his compassion, innocence, and the fragile hope that sustains him. These leitmotifs evolve and intertwine as the characters grow and face their trials, lending the score a cohesive emotional architecture. When the action ignites, the score explodes with energy and intensity. Go Shina's compositions ramp up with rapid string runs, thunderous percussion, and dynamic orchestral flourishes that propel the battles forward like a relentless storm. The music mirrors the choreography on screen, accentuating each slash of the sword, burst of flame, and dodge with precision timing. Yet, despite this frenetic pace, the score never overwhelms the viewer or the sound design. Instead, it meshes tightly with the visuals and effects, enhancing the visceral impact of combat, while keeping the emotional stakes front and center. The fights become more than spectacle. They become a symphony of chaos and courage, orchestrated to the interplay of music and movement. Silence and restraint are just as important as sound in the film's musical palette. The composers masterfully wield moments of quiet or near silence, especially during scenes heavy with psychological tension or dread. For instance, during Tanjiro's recurring dream deaths, the music drops to minimal ambient tones or fades out entirely, leaving only subtle atmospheric sounds or eerie echoes. This choice heightens a sense of isolation and despair, allowing the emotional weight of the scene to build organically without distraction. When the music returns, often with a poignant swell or haunting melody, the impact is exponentially greater. The strategic use of silence transforms the score into a powerful storytelling tool, underscoring the character's inner turmoil and moments of vulnerability. The blend of traditional Japanese instruments with Western orchestral elements is another defining characteristic of the score, enriching its cultural resonance and texture. The composers incorporate instruments like the taiko drum, shamisen, and shakuhachi flute alongside sweeping strings, brass, and piano, crafting a soundscape that feels both authentic to the story's historical setting and universally emotional. This fusion creates a rich auditory tapestry that transports the audience into the film's world while emphasizing themes of heritage, honor, and the clash between human spirit and demonic forces. The traditional sounds add a layer of depth and nuance, grounding the fantastical narrative in a tangible cultural context. One of the most memorable moments musically is the final confrontation between Rengoku and Akaza, where the score soars into an operatic anthem filled with fiery strings, heroic brass, and pounding percussion. The music elevates the fight beyond physical conflict, transforming it into a mythic battle that embodies themes of courage, sacrifice, and the fight against despair. Every clash and parry is punctuated by musical swells that amplify the emotional stakes, while quieter interludes during moments of pain or reflection add profound pathos. The score does not just underscore the scene, it becomes the emotional language of the battle, making the audience feel the triumph and tragedy in their bones. Throughout the film, the soundtrack balances perfectly between subtlety and grandeur. In quieter, more tender scenes, like moments between Tanjiro and Nezuko or the nostalgic dream sequences, the music is delicate and understated, gently guiding the viewer's emotions without dictating them. It leaves space for the character performances to shine, while quietly enhancing the atmosphere. Conversely, in action-packed or emotionally intense sequences, the score rises to meet the moment with full-bodied orchestral power. This dynamic range ensures the music never feels monotonous or intrusive, instead becoming an integral part of the narrative flow. The score also uses texture and layering masterfully. Themes and motifs weave in and out of each other, building complexity as the story progresses. Subtle variations in instrumentation or tempo mirror shifts in character motions or plot developments, providing an oral reflection of narrative evolution. This layering invites repeat viewings, as listeners can discover new musical details that deepen their understanding and appreciation of the story. In sum, the music in Mugen Train is an indispensable partner to the film's storytelling. It elevates every scene, enriching emotional beats, enhancing atmosphere, and heightening tension with a deft touch. The composer's blending of traditional and modern instruments, skillful use of motifs, expert timing, and strategic silence all combine to create a score that is as memorable as the film itself. The soundtrack doesn't just accompany the story. It breathes life into it, making Mugen Train a fully immersive experience where sound and image dance in perfect harmony. Demon Slayer. Kimetsu no Yaiba, the movie. Mugen Train doesn't just deliver breathtaking animation and pulse-pounding battles. It dives deep into a rich tapestry of themes and messages that elevate the story far beyond a simple action flick. These themes are woven seamlessly into narrative, character interactions, and even the visual and auditory storytelling, making the film resonate on multiple levels. The beauty lies in how naturally these ideas unfold, never forced or preachy, but organically growing from the characters' journeys and struggles, inviting viewers to reflect on larger questions about life, courage, and connection. One of the film's central themes is the resilience of the human spirit in the face of despair. The characters battle literal demons, but these foes are also powerful metaphors for the inner demons that everyone faces: fear, grief, trauma, and hopelessness. The narrative continually explores how individuals respond to darkness. Do they succumb, or do they fight back? Rengoku, the flame Hashira, stands as a towering symbol of hope and unyielding resolve. His fiery enthusiasm and philosophy about living brightly, even if only for a short time, resonate deeply because they capture a universal human truth. It's not the length of life that matters, but the passion and purpose with which it is lived. This message feels heartfelt and earned, never shoehorned in, because it emerges naturally from Rengoku's character and the sacrifices he makes. Sacrifice is another profound theme, portrayed with emotional nuance and honesty. The film doesn't shy away from showing the physical and psychological toll that fighting evil takes on its heroes. Rengoku's willingness to risk and ultimately give his life to protect others is portrayed not as an abstract ideal, but as a deeply personal act rooted in care, duty, and love. His sacrifice reverberates through the film, shaping how other characters, especially Tanjiro, grapple with loss and find new strength. Tanjiro's fierce devotion protecting his sister Nezuko, alongside the pain and perseverance he exhibits, highlights the sacrifices we all make for the people we love. The film handles these themes without slipping into melodrama, making the emotional moments feel genuine and relatable. The interplay of hope and despair courses through the film like a lifeblood. The story takes the characters to terrifying, almost hopeless places, most notably through the recurring dream sequences where Tanjiro and his friends die again and again, trapped in a nightmare. Yet, even in these moments of crushing despair, the film insists on hope. Whether it's Tanjiro's stubborn refusal to give up, the unwavering spirit of Rengoku, or the unbreakable bonds between friends, Mugen Train portrays hope not as naive optimism, but as a hard one, vital force that sustains the human heart. This tension between light and dark is reflected in the film's visual style, soundtrack, and narrative arcs, creating a multi-layer experience that feels both immediate and timeless. Friendship and the power of community are also key messages threaded through the story. Though Tanjiro is the central protagonist, the film highlights the unique strengths and contributions of his companions, Zenitsu, Inosuke, and Rengoku. Their camaraderie, trust, and shared determination provide a counterpoint to the isolation and fear wrought by the demons. This emphasis on teamwork and mutual support speaks to a universal truth. Challenges are more bearable and often surmountable when faced together. The film celebrates these connections in a way that feels authentic and earned, underscoring that heroism is often a collective effort rather than a solo endeavor. Another rich layer of thematic complexity arises from the exploration of dreams versus reality. The dream sequences serve as more than just plot devices. They symbolize a seductive but dangerous allure of escapism. Tanjiro's entrapment in an endless dream world, where desires are fulfilled but freedom is lost, poses profound questions about the nature of reality, denial, and acceptance. The film encourages viewers to consider how clinging to illusions, even comforting ones, can prevent growth and healing. This theme gives the film a psychological depth that invites reflection on how people cope with trauma and pain, often by retreating into safe but false spaces. Mentorship and legacy form another important thematic strand. Rengoku's role is not just that of a powerful fighter, but also a mentor and moral compass for the younger characters. His guidance, encouragement, and example leave a lasting impression, inspiring Tanjiro and his friends to grow stronger and more determined. This theme speaks to the importance of passing on values, wisdom, and strength across generations. It suggests that heroes are not just defined by their deeds, but also by the ideals and courage they impart to others, ensuring that their light continues to burn through those who follow. The film also gently explores the complexity of good and evil. While the demons are the clear antagonists, glimpses into their tragic backstories hint at lost humanity and suffering that blur the lines between villain and victim. This moral ambiguity adds richness to the narrative, prompting viewers to think beyond simplistic binaries. It suggests that evil is often a product of pain and circumstance rather than pure malice, inviting empathy without excusing cruelty. This nuanced portrayal deepens emotional stakes and challenges audiences to grapple with the messy realities of conflict and identity. Interwoven with these major themes are smaller but significant ideas about courage, perseverance, and the meaning of family, both biological and chosen. The film celebrates the strength that comes from love and loyalty, and how those bonds can fuel extraordinary bravery even in the darkest hours. The way Tanjiro's protective love for Nezuko drives his journey offers a powerful example of how love can be both a source of vulnerability and immense strength. In all, Mugen Train presents a rich thematic landscape that complements its thrilling plot and stunning visuals. The themes feel lived in and deeply connected to characters rather than tacked on, allowing the audience to engage with thought-provoking ideas while still being swept up in the story's momentum. Whether it's grappling with the nature of hope, sacrifice, or the power of connection, the film leaves a lasting impression that encourages reflection long after the final scene. It's this thoughtful weaving of meaning with entertainment that makes Mugen Train a truly memorable cinematic experience. In Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba, the movie, Mugen Train, the visual effects and CGI don't just support the storytelling. They elevate it into something mesmerizing and often unforgettable. From the very first frame, it's clear that the filmmakers were not content with simply animating a story. They set out to create a sensory experience where every frame pulses with energy, emotion, and style. The use of CGI in this film isn't loud or showy in a way that calls attention to itself. Instead, it's used with such finesse and sensitivity that it blends invisibly with the hand-drawn animation, reinforcing the mood, enhancing the action, and building a world that feels fully alive. What makes the visual effects so exceptional is their relationship with the characters and the narrative. The supernatural powers of each Demon Slayer are rendered using stylized digital techniques that reflect their personalities and combat styles. Tanjiro's water techniques have a graceful, flowing elegance that mirrors his calm, empathetic nature. Rengoku's fire attacks blaze with intensity and righteous fury, matching his burning sense of justice. Zenitsu's lightning bursts are erratic and explosive, in line with his anxious, high-strung temperament. These effects are not just visual candy. They help us feel the essence of each character in motion. Their techniques are like extensions of their souls, visually communicating things that even dialogue can't express. The way CGI is used to depict the demons is equally effective. Rather than grounding them in realism, the effect enhanced their surreal, often terrifying nature. When Enmu, the central antagonist, begins to manipulate dreams and meld with the Mugen Train itself, the animation shifts into strange, dreamlike territory. Tentacles slither unnaturally, flesh fuses with metal, and the train takes on a grotesque, organic quality that only CGI could have captured so vividly. These scenes don't look like something out of a typical action film. They feel like something out of a fever dream, which is exactly the point. The filmmakers use CGI not to break immersion, but to warp it, to make the audience feel as disoriented and vulnerable as the heroes. Yet, even in these most fantastical moments, the film never loses its sense of visual cohesion. That's because the animators never let the digital effects dominate the aesthetic. Everything, from the glowing embers to the distorted dreamscapes, is filtered through the same rich color palette and consistent visual language that defines the Demon Slayer series. This ensures that even when the film is pushing the boundaries of what's visually possible, it still feels grounded in its world. The style remains painterly, expressive, and steeped in traditional Japanese art influences. CGI here doesn't replace artistry, it enhances it. Lighting effects are another area where the CGI truly shines. The film makes masterful use of dynamic lighting to intensify emotional moments and elevate the drama of each fight scene. When Rengoku draws his flaming sword, it doesn't just glow, it radiates heat and urgency. The shadows flicker, the light bounces off the characters' faces, and you can practically feel the fire burning. These effects serve a dual purpose. They create visual spectacle and underscore the emotional stakes. During battles, sudden flashes of light signal the clashing of blades, while slow fades of darkness mark moments of loss and reflection. It's visual storytelling in its purest form. Particle effects add another layer of texture and movement to the film's world. Sparks fly with every strike. Mist rolls gently across the forest, and embers dance in the air long after flame has died. These are small details, but they're used with such care and frequency that they become part of the atmosphere itself. There's a sense that the world is always moving, breathing, reacting to the characters' choices and the energy of their battles. This liveliness gives a film a kinetic energy that keeps audiences engaged even during quieter moments. One particularly brilliant use of CGI is in the portrayal of the dream sequences. Each character's dream is visually distinct, rendered with digital effects that match the emotional tone of the dream itself. Tanjiro's dream is warm, nostalgic, filled with soft lighting and gentle camera movements that evoke peace and longing. By contrast, the descent into Emu's nightmare realm is chaotic, abstract, and filled with distorted geometry and shifting perspectives. These shifts aren't just there to look cool. They deepen our emotional connection with the characters, allowing us to feel their hopes, fears, and inner conflicts in a very visual way. Even the train itself, such a central part of the film setting, benefits from the subtle use of CGI. The smoke that curls out of its chimney, the rhythmic blur of the landscape as it speeds along the tracks, the metallic sheen of its exterior. All of these details are enhanced digitally to make the setting feel more tangible and alive. When the train begins to transform, the CGI becomes bolder, introducing unnatural textures and movements that convey the horror of the transformation. And yet, throughout all of this, the train never stops feeling like part of the Demon Slayer world. It simply evolves into something more monstrous. Ultimately, what makes the visual effects in CGI and Mugen Train stand out isn't just their technical excellence. It's how emotionally intelligent they are. Every burst of fire, every gust of wind, every twisted nightmare is in service of character and story. The effects aren't just beautiful to look at. They're emotionally resonant. They intensify the impact of climactic battles, amplify the tragedy of key losses, and help us see the world not just through our eyes, but through the hearts of characters. It's this level of thoughtfulness that turns a visually impressive film into a truly unforgettable one. The result is a cinematic experience that doesn't just dazzle, it lingers. In Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba, the movie, Mugen Train, the set design and locations aren't just backdrop for action. They are storytelling elements in themselves. From the eerie darkness of night to the surreal serenity of dreamscapes, every environment in the film is designed with purpose, depth, and a kind of poetic visual language that seamlessly fuses with the tone of the narrative. This isn't a story that takes place in generic fantasy woods or randomly generated backgrounds. Every frame feels meticulously crafted, like a moving painting where every shadow and texture contributes to the emotional rhythm of the film. The Mugen Train itself is the star set piece of the movie, and it's more than just a vehicle. It's a confined, ominous, living space that carries the bulk of the plot both literally and thematically. The limited space within the train is used with masterful precision to build tension and intimacy. Narrow corridors, flickering lanterns, tightly packed cabins, all of it create a sense of suspense, a claustrophobic unease that's perfect for a story about hidden threats and inner demons. The uniformity of the train's layout works to its advantage when things begin to unravel. As the villain merges with the train and distorts its structure, that very familiarity is turned on its head, making the twisted changes more jarring and impactful. The interior becomes a nightmarish fusion of wood, metal, and flesh, challenging the character's spatial awareness and keeping viewers disoriented in the best possible way. But the film doesn't just trap its characters inside that iron serpent of a train. It explores the landscapes of their minds, and this is where the set design takes on almost dreamlike quality. When Tanjiro is pulled into his subconscious, the environment that unfolds is impossibly vast, a clear blue sky above an endless field of calm waters that stretch to the horizon. This vision of inner peace is designed with minimalism and breathtaking serenity, serving as a visual metaphor for Tanjiro's pure heart and clarity of purpose. In contrast, the subconscious realms of the other characters, each designed with its own unique palette and mood, offer glimpses into their fears, regrets, and memories. The locations here are as psychologically revealing as any monologue or flashback. The dream sequences push the boundaries of conventional location design. These aren't static backdrops. They're living, emotional spaces shaped by the character's deepest desires or unresolved pain. Tanjiro's dream world, where his family is still alive, walking around their rural home, is warm and earthy. Wooden structures, woven mats, the soft rustling of leaves, These small domestic details recreate a believable, tangible piece. But it's this very realism that makes the tragedy of an illusion hit so much harder when it unravels. Every object and corner of that imagined home reinforces a sense of loss that words alone can't express. As for the real-world outdoor locations, the film doesn't overuse them, but when they appear, they're powerful. The forest near the train tracks, seen briefly at the beginning and again at the end, is cloaked in mist and silence. This transition zone between human civilization and the supernatural feels haunted and ancient, a place where danger always lurks. The natural setting contrasts sharply with the artificiality of the train, creating a symbolic divide between the structured world the demon slayers try to protect and the wild, chaotic world of the demons they fight. Lighting and prop design also play a key role in making these settings feel alive. The lantern-lit cabins of the train, the rusty handles, the stacks of luggage, all these details root us in the Taisho period setting while enhancing the suspense. The use of old-world props like conductor uniforms, traditional luggage, and even the demon scrolls and talismans add authenticity and texture to the scenes. Every object seems chosen not just for historical accuracy, but to reinforce mood and theme. When the dream illusions begin to shatter, it's not just the people that disappear. It's the spaces and items tied to their memory, slowly eroded in front of our eyes. There's also a stark visual contrast between day and night that's mirrored in the design of the locations. The night scenes on the train are filled with shadows, red glows, and moonlit filters that enhance the sinister tone. In contrast, the dream worlds and flashbacks are drenched in soft, nostalgic lighting. These shifts make the audience feel the difference between illusion and reality even before the characters realize it themselves. The design choices guide your emotional response on a subconscious level, and that's a testament to how immersive production design really is. The battle that unfolds in the final act of the film, outside the train and under a rising sun, serves as a final masterstroke in terms of location. The open field where Rengoku faces off against Akaza is a stark, wide-open space, a powerful change from the cramped train interiors. It allows for a sense of grandeur and clarity, turning their confrontation into something mythic. There are no distractions, no props, just scorched earth, light, shadow, and two wills clashing. The barren setting reflects the rawness of their ideologies and elevates the emotional stakes. Sometimes the absence of design is just as important as its presence. What makes the set design of Mugen Train truly brilliant is that it's never just about realism or style for its own sake. Every location, every object, every atmospheric element is there to serve a purpose, whether it's building tension, revealing character psychology, or driving the emotional core of the narrative. These are spaces you don't just observe, you feel them. You can sense the warmth of the dreams, the weight of the sorrow, the sharp chill of confrontation. It's world building that doesn't just aim for detail, but for emotional authenticity. That's what makes the environments in Demon Slayer. Mugen Train's so powerful. They're not just places where things happen. They're places that mean something. All right, buckle up, Demon Slayer fans, because we're about to dive headfirst into glorious, mind-bending, and utterly jaw-dropping world of Demon Slayer. Infinity. Forget your everyday movie sets. Ufotable, the animation wizards, have taken their already legendary production design and cranked it up to 11. We're talking about a visual feast that doesn't just show you a world. It drags you in and shakes you around until you're convinced you can smell the wisteria and feel the wind resistance as a Hashira zips by. Let's start with the big kahuna, the Infinity Castle itself. Oh, my goodness. This isn't just a location. It's a living, breathing nightmare. Imagine a colossal, ever-shifting Escher painting brought to terrifying life. Rooms aren't just rooms. They're platforms that twist and turn on a dime. Doors appear and disappear as if by magic, and gravity seems to be more a suggestion than a rule. It's a vertical maze, a horizontal labyrinth, an existential crisis all rolled into one. The sheer detail in every cascading beam, every shifting tatami mat, every impossible angle, makes you feel disoriented and exhilarated all at once. The animators didn't just design a space. They designed a character in itself, a malevolent entity that actively works against our heroes. You'll find yourself leaning in, trying to figure out which way is up, and marveling at the ingenuity of such a chaotic yet perfectly executed design. But it's not just the castle's grand scale that impresses. The props within are equally, dare I say, properly amazing. Think about the subtle yet unsettling elements that make the demon's hideout so chilling. The way the light, or lack thereof, plays off the dark wood, the ominous shadows that dance with every shift of the architecture, all adds to a sense of unease. Even the smaller details, like the chillingly ornate patterns on some of the demon's clothing or the glint of their terrifying weapons, are meticulously crafted to enhance the overall atmosphere. They don't just exist, they tell a story of ancient evil and unimaginable power. Then, of course, we have the fleeting glimpses of the outside world, the brief moment before our heroes are plunged into the depths. The serene yet watchful Obishiki estate, with its traditional Japanese architecture and tranquil gardens, provides a stark, beautiful contrast to the impending chaos. It's a reminder of the peace they're fighting for, a visual representation of the gentle world that the demons seek to destroy. The intricate details of the wood, the subtle shift of the leaves and the wind, it all creates a sense of grounded reality before everything goes wonderfully, terrifyingly sideways. These moments of calm are crucial, not just a narrative, but for highlighting just how utterly bizarre and dangerous the Infinity Castle truly is. And the character's gear. Tanjiro's iconic green and black checker haori. The different patterns and colors of the Hashira's uniforms. Each one is instantly recognizable and adds to their distinct personalities. Their Nichiren blades, too, are not just swords. They're extensions of the wielders, each with a unique hilt, blade color, and breathing form effect that bursts forth with stunning visual flair. When those blades clash against the demon's grotesque forms and their blood demon arts explode across the screen, the entire environment becomes a dazzling, destructive canvas. The production design of Demon Slayer, Infinity, doesn't just create a believable world. It creates an unforgettable one. It's a masterclass in using settings and props to enhance storytelling, evoke emotion, and deliver a visual spectacle that will leave you gasping. You'll be so immersed, you might even forget to breathe. So get ready, because this movie is going to visually transport you to a dimension of demon-slaying awesomeness. All right, fellow Demon Slayer fanatics, gather round. We're about to dissect the words that leap off the screen in Demon Slayer, Infinity. And let me tell you, this isn't your grandma's quiet tea party conversation. We're talking about dialogue that zings, punches, and occasionally makes you want to hug your TV. Ufotable and the scriptwriters have once again proven that they're masters of verbal alchemy, turning simple sentences into pure gold. First off, let's talk about the sheer naturalness of it all. Despite the fact that we're dealing with demon-slaying teenagers and centuries-old demons, the conversations never feel forced or stilted. When Tanjiro gets all earnest and determined, you believe every word, because that's just him. His unwavering moral compass isn't just shown through his actions. It's woven into the very fabric of his pleas, his promises, and his unwavering belief in the good within people, even those twisted by demonic power. You'll hear him spout a line about protecting humanity or never giving up, and it won't feel cheesy. It'll feel like a gut punch of pure, unadulterated resolve. Then there's a comedic relief, often delivered with impeccable timing. Zenitsu, bless his cowardly heart, is a walking, screaming goldmine of hilarious outbursts. His panic laments and over-the-top reactions aren't just funny. They're incredibly relatable. Who hasn't felt that level of existential dread when facing something truly terrifying? And Inosuke, with his gruff, single-minded pronouncements and constant challenges, provides a different brand of humor, often born from his sheer lack of social graces. His bluntness, though sometimes infuriating to the other characters, is consistently amusing to us. The banter between these three, even amidst the most intense battles, is a testament to the script's ability to balance high-stakes action with genuine, endearing character interactions. You'll find yourself chuckling even as your heart races. But it's not all laughs and earnestness. Demon Slayer, Infinity, dives deep into the emotional trenches, and the dialogue carries an immense weight. The demons themselves, particularly the upper ranks, deliver lines that are chilling, arrogant, and sometimes surprisingly tragic. Their philosophical musings on power, mortality, and their own twisted sense of beauty are truly impactful. When a demon sneers at humanity's fragility or boasts about their ancient power, it's not just villain monologuing. It's a window into their depraved minds, making them more than just faceless monsters. You get a sense of their distorted worldview, and it makes their eventual defeat all the more satisfying, or in some cases, bittersweet. And let's not forget the Hashiras. Their dialogue is often terse, battle-hardened, and incredibly impactful. A single, sharp command from Ju or a fiery declaration from Rengoku, "Oh, Rengoku," carries immense authority and perfectly encapsulates their individual personalities and their immense power. There are moments when Hashira delivers a line that instantly defines their unwavering resolve, their tragic past, or their unyielding dedication to their cause. These aren't just characters, they're titans, and their words resonate with the weight of countless battles fought and sacrifices made. Are there standout lines? Absolutely. Without giving anything away, prepare for lines that will be quoted, memed, and probably tattooed by fans for years to come. These aren't just catchy phrases. They're lines that encapsulate the essence of character, the theme of the scene, or the sheer, undeniable spirit of the Demon Slayer core. They're the kind of lines that, when you hear them, make you pump your fist in the air or feel a lump in your throat. The script understands the power of brevity and impact, knowing when to let a single, perfectly crafted sentence do the work of an entire paragraph. In essence, the dialogue and script of Demon Slayer, Infinity, are a masterclass in character voice, emotional resonance, and dramatic impact. It's a symphony of wit, heartbreak, and unyielding determination, making every spoken word feel crucial and every conversation a delight, even when it's about facing down the most terrifying evils imaginable. You're not just watching a movie. You're listening to a world come alive, one perfectly chosen word at a time. All right, Demon Slayer diehards and genre enthusiasts, let's talk about how Demon Slayer, Infinity, plays the game when it comes to its chosen path. Is it conventional shonen warrior, or does it do a little genre-bending jujitsu? The answer, my friends, is a delicious blend of both, served with a side of breathtaking animation. At its core, Demon Slayer is a shonen anime, and Infinity proudly embraces many of its beloved conventions. You've got your determined young hero, Tanjiro, who consistently pushes past his limits, driven by an unwavering moral compass and a desire to protect his sister. There's the power of friendship and teamwork, as the trio of Tanjiro, Zenitsu, and Inosuke, along with the mighty Hashiras, face seemingly insurmountable odds together. You got intense training sequences, even if they're more implied than explicit in a movie format, epic battles with escalating stakes, and villains who monologue dramatically about their power and philosophies. When a demon reveals a terrifying new blood demon art, you get that classic shonen, "Oh no, how will they overcome this?" moment. And the emotional payoffs, particularly when characters push through pain for those they care about, are pure, unadulterated shonen gold. It doesn't shy away from these tropes. It perfects them. However, where Demon Slayer, Infinity truly shines is in how it takes these familiar conventions and polishes them to a blinding sheen, often adding unexpected depth and a surprising level of grit. For instance, while the power of friendship is a staple, Demon Slayer consistently reminds us of the cost of that power. The battles are brutal, and characters genuinely get hurt, sometimes severely. The stakes feel incredibly real, because the consequences are palpable. It's not just about winning, it's about surviving, and sometimes it's about the sacrifices made along the way. This grounded sense of danger elevates the action beyond simple power-ups. And let's talk about the villains. While they certainly fit the big bad mold, Demon Slayer consistently subverts the idea of one-dimensional evil. Many of the upper-ranked demons have tragic backstories, motivations that, however twisted, stem from human experiences. This gives their fights an emotional complexity that's often absent in more straightforward shonen. When you learn about a demon's past, it adds a layer of sorrow and understanding, even as you root for their inevitable defeat. It makes you ask, what kind of world creates such monsters? It's a brilliant way to add dramatic weight to what could otherwise be just another Monster of the Week scenario. The balance of genres within Infinity is also a masterclass. The action sequences are, simply put, legendary. They're fluid, dynamic, visually stunning, and often dizzying in their speed and scale. But interwoven with these pulse-pounding fights is genuinely effective suspense. The Infinity Castle itself is a character of dread, a constantly shifting maze that keeps both the characters and the audience on edge. You never know what twisted hallway or sudden drop is around the corner, creating an almost psychological horror element. Then there's the humor, which is deployed with surgical precision. Just when the tension becomes almost unbearable, Zenitsu will unleash a perfectly timed, high-pitched scream, or Inosuke will charge headfirst into a wall, providing much-needed comedic relief that never feels out of place. This isn't just slapstick. It's character-driven humor that highlights their personalities and give the audience a chance to breathe before the next onslaught. And the drama? Oh, the drama. Infinity pulls no punches when it comes to emotional moments, whether it's the weight of responsibility, the pain of loss, or the fierce determination to protect. These moments hit hard because they're earned, built on the strong foundation of character development from the series. So, does Demon Slayer Infinity rely on cliches? Perhaps, but it uses them as a springboard for something deeper and more impactful. Does it introduce fresh ideas? Absolutely, particularly in its nuanced portrayal of villainy and its fearless embrace of genuine consequences. It doesn't just balance action, suspense, humor, and drama. It seamlessly weaves them together into an exhilarating, emotionally resonant tapestry that proves why Demon Slayer isn't just popular, it's a phenomenon. All right, everyone, let's talk about the brainy bits of Demon Slayer Infinity. Beyond the jaw-dropping fights and heart-wrenching moments, does this film whisper sweet nothings about society, or does it shout profound truths? The answer is a delightful, often subtle mix of both. Demon Slayer is steeped in Japanese cultural and historical context, and it uses that rich tapestry to weave in some surprisingly resonant themes that echo in our contemporary world, without ever feeling like a preachy lecture. One of the most powerful underlying themes, incredibly relevant today, is the idea of compassion and empathy, even for your enemies. Tanjiro, our earnest protagonist, is not just a demon slayer. He's a demon understander. Time and again, even as he's slicing and dicing, he feels pity for the demons he's fighting. Why? Because he recognizes a humanity that was stripped away from them, the suffering that led them down a path of evil. He sees their tragic past, their warped desires, and even their moments of twisted beauty. In a world often quick to dehumanize and dismiss those deemed evil, Tanjiro's unwavering empathy is a radical act. It asks us to consider the origins of malice, the impact of trauma, and whether true justice involves only punishment or also understanding. This is enforced. It's a very core of Tanjiro's character, making him a truly unique and compelling hero. Speaking of humanity, the film subtly explores the concept of what it means to be human. The demons, once human, grapple with their lost memories, their insatiable hunger, and their distorted sense of self. They cling to vestiges of their past, even as they commit horrific acts. Nezuko, as a demon who retains her humanity, becomes the ultimate symbol of this struggle. Her fight against her demonic urges is a constant reminder that even when faced with overwhelming darkness, the essence of who we are can endure. This resonates deeply with contemporary discussions about identity, morality, and the choices we make when faced with immense pressure. It's about maintaining your soul in a world that tries to strip it away. Then there's the pervasive theme of family and connection. Tanjiro's entire quest is driven by his love for Nezuko and the desire to avenge his family. This isn't just a plot device. It's a powerful statement about the importance of familial bonds in a chaotic world. The Demon Slayer Corps itself, while a rigid organization, operates like a dysfunctional but fiercely loyal family. The Hashiras, despite their individual quirks and past traumas, are united by a common purpose and a profound sense of responsibility towards humanity. This sense of collective strength and mutual support, especially in the face of an existential threat, is a timeless message. In an age where societal fragmentation is often discussed, Demon Slayer subtly champions unity and the strength found in genuine connection. Demon Slayer is also set during the Taisho era Japan, a period of significant transition between tradition and modernization. You see subtle nods to this throughout the series and heavily amplified in Infinity. The blend of ancient swordsmanship and spiritual breathing techniques with nascent industrialization, like the train in Mugen Train, or even some of the more modern architectural elements in the city's glimpsed, creates a fascinating backdrop. This era was a time of questioning old ways and embracing new ones, often with underlying tension. While not overtly political, this setting allows the film to touch on themes of progress, societal change, and the resilience of tradition in the face of the new. It's a gentle historical commentary, reminding us that even in fantastical battles, the echoes of real-world societal shifts can be felt. Finally, there's a powerful statement about perseverance and overcoming adversity. Every demon slayer, especially the Ashiras, carries immense trauma and faces seemingly impossible challenges. Yet, they continue to fight, driven by an unbreakable will. This isn't just about winning battles. It's about finding strength in vulnerability, pushing through pain, and never giving up on a seemingly hopeless cause. This universal message, presented through breathtaking action and heartfelt character arcs, is incredibly effective and never feels forced because it's organically tied to each character's journey and struggles. So, while Demon Slayer, Infinity might not be screaming political slogans, it's a master at weaving in profound social and cultural commentary through its characters, their struggles, and the very fabric of the world. It encourages empathy, champions connection, defines humanity, and celebrates the enduring power of the human spirit, all while delivering a rollicking good time. What more could you ask for? All right, my fellow aficionados of emotional roller coasters and jaw-dropping animation, let's get down to the nitty-gritty of Demon Slayer. Infinity's superpower. Its ability to grab your heart, squeeze it, and then gently place it back, probably a little more bruised, but definitely more alive. This isn't just a movie you watch. It's an experience that plays your emotions like a finely tuned instrument, leaving you buzzing long after the credits roll. Let's talk about the laughter. Oh, the glorious, much-needed laughter. Just when the tension becomes so thick you could cut it with nicker and blade, Zenitsu will unleash a shriek so ear-splittingly hilarious, or Inosuke will charge in with such endearing, boar-headed bravado, that you can't help but erupt in giggles. These aren't just cheap gags. They're perfectly timed moments of levity that highlight the characters' personalities and give the audience a crucial breath before plunging back into heart-pounding action. You'll find yourself wiping away tears of mirth one moment, and then bracing for impact the next. It's a masterclass in comedic relief that never undermines the serious stakes. Then, brace yourselves for the tears. And I'm talking about the kind of tears that sneak up on you, whether the silent tear rolling down your cheek or a full-on ugly cry in the cinema. Demon Slayer, Infinity, delves deep into the backstories of its characters, both heroes and villains, revealing their struggles, their losses, and their profound motivations. When you witness a character's tragic past, or when a hero makes an ultimate sacrifice, or when the bond between characters is tested to its breaking point, the emotional impact is immense. The film understands the power of empathy, making you feel genuine sorrow, profound admiration, and even a touch of understanding for characters you might initially perceive as purely evil. These aren't just sad moments. They're moments of deep human or formerly human connection that resonate with universal themes of grief, love, and sacrifice. And excitement? Oh, honey, get ready for a full-body experience. The action sequences in Demon Slayer, Infinity, are not just visually stunning. They're exhilarating spectacles that will have you on the edge of your seat, fists clenched, probably whispering go, 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 or no to the screen. The fluid animation, the dynamic camera work, the sheer speed and power on display. It's a sensory overload in the best possible way. Every sword swing, every demon art, every explosion of elemental power is designed to elicit gasps and cheers. You'll feel the adrenaline coursing through your veins as if you're right there in the thick of the battle, ducking and weaving with Tanjiro and the gang. As for shock, Infinity has its fair share of jaw-dropping revelations and unexpected twists. The Infinity Castle itself is a character of pure disorientation, constantly shifting and throwing surprises at our heroes, which in turn keeps the audience on their toes. But beyond the architectural chaos, there are narrative shocks, moments where long-held assumptions are challenged, or where the sheer power and cruelty of the demons are laid bare in an utterly chilling fashion. These moments keep the audience guessing and elevate the stakes even further. Does it invite discussion? Absolutely. You'll be dissecting battle strategies, debating character motivations, and probably arguing about which Ashira is the strongest, though we all know the answer is Rengoku. Just kidding. Mostly, The film's themes of empathy, sacrifice, and the nature of good versus evil provide fertile ground for deep conversations with your friends and fellow fans. And repeat viewings? Without a doubt. There's so much visual detail, so many subtle character nuances, and such intricate fight choreography that you'll want to watch it again and again just to catch everything you missed the first time. Plus, let's be honest, those epic moments are just too good not to experience multiple times. Finally, deep reflection? Surprisingly, yes, amidst all the demon-slaying awesomeness, Demon Slayer, Infinity, encourages you to think about what it means to carry on in the face of insurmountable odds, the nature of evil, and the enduring power of compassion. It's a film that entertains on a grand scale, but also leaves you with something to ponder long after you've left the theater. It's a truly engaging cinematic experience that connects with its audience on every emotional level. All right, prepare for some serious compare and contrast action, because Demon Slayer, Infinity, isn't just another flick. It's a statement. How does it stack up against its anime brethren, its own illustrious franchise, and the legendary studio Ufotable's other masterpieces? Let's dive in. First, let's look at its standing within the shonen genre. Shonen anime is a vast ocean, home to giants like Dragon Ball, One Piece, Naruto, and Jujutsu Kaisen. Demon Slayer, Infinity absolutely leans into the core shonen formula. A determined hero, an escalating power scale, the importance of friendship, and epic battles with clearly defined villains. You'll recognize the tropes of pushing beyond limits, unlocking new abilities, an emotional way to protecting your comrades. But where Infinity truly shines, perhaps subverts the norm, is in its uncompromising commitment to consequences. Unlike some shonen where characters bounce back from seemingly fatal blows with quick power-up, Demon Slayer doesn't shy away from depicting genuine injury, emotional trauma, and, yes, even death. This adds a layer of raw grit and emotional weight that makes the stakes feel incredibly real, distinguishing it from many of its peers who might soften the blow. The brutal beauty of its combat, combined with the genuine threat to its beloved characters, makes every victory feel earned and every loss deeply felt. Now, let's consider the Demon Slayer franchise itself. Infinity isn't a standalone side story like many anime films tend to be. This is a direct, unskippable continuation of the main narrative, a formula that Demon Slayer, Mugen Train, pioneered to record-breaking success. While some compilation films like To the Swordsmith Village or To the Ashira Training have been released, Infinity follows the Mugen Train model, taking a critical, action-packed manga arc and adapting it directly for the big screen with unparalleled fidelity and expanded animation. This consistency in approach is a significant strength. Fans know they're getting a crucial chunk of the story, not just a filler episode stretched into a movie. What Infinity does new within the franchise is scale. It plunges our heroes into a multi-front, non-stop battle within a single, mind-bending location, the Infinity Castle. This sustained, high-intensity conflict across a vast, impossible landscape elevates the franchise's already impressive action to dizzying new heights. It's like Mugen Train on steroids set in an MC Escher nightmare. And then we come to Ufotable's filmography. Ufotable, the animation wizards. Their signature style is plastered all over Infinity, and it's what truly sets this film apart. If you've seen their work on the Fate series like Fate/Zero or Fate/Stay Night, Unlimited Blade Works, or The Garden of Sinners, you know their hallmarks: incredibly fluid and dynamic action sequences, meticulous attention to detail in character animation and environmental effects, and a breathtaking use of lighting and digital effects. Infinity takes all of these strengths and pushes them further. Compared to their earlier works, Ufotable has refined their ability to handle large-scale, chaotic battles with multiple simultaneous points of focus. The sheer complexity of animating the Infinity Castle's shifting architecture while characters are zipping through it at impossible speeds is a testament to their technical prowess. While Fate had shared dazzling sword fights and magical explosions, Demon Slayer brings raw, visceral energy that is uniquely its own. Haruo Sotozaki, the director, continues to demonstrate his mastery of pacing, knowing exactly when to let the action speak for itself and when to punctuate it with emotional beats. So, does Infinity offer something new? Absolutely. While it embraces the successful formula established by Mugen Train within its own franchise and adheres to many shonen conventions, it elevates them. It provides a level of sustained, intricate, and visually overwhelming action within a single, dynamic setting that is arguably unprecedented. It's a testament to how taking familiar elements and executing them with unparalleled commitment, artistic vision, and technical brilliance can create something truly fresh and unforgettable. It's not reinventing the wheel, but it's putting that wheel on a rocket and sending it to the moon. All right, intrepid explorers of cinematic depth, let's grab our metaphorical magnifying glasses and delve into the delicious layers of symbolism and hidden meanings bubbling beneath the surface of Demon Slayer. Infinity. This isn't just a pretty picture. It's a tapestry woven with recurring motifs and visual cues that make the storytelling sing, and the themes resonate on a whole new level. Prepare to have your mind tickled. Let's start with the most obvious, yet profoundly impactful symbol, the sun and the moon. This isn't just about day and night. It's the primal clash between light and darkness, good and evil, life and destruction. The Demon Slayers, with their sun-breathing techniques or derivations thereof, represent the warmth, life-giving energy, and purity of the sun. Their ultimate goal is to bring light back to a world shrouded in the demons' perpetual night. The demons, especially the most powerful ones, are creatures of the moon, thriving in darkness, feeding on human despair, and embodying a cold, sterile, destructive power. Their abilities are often tied to lunar motifs, crescent slashes, shadowy forms, a chilling luminescence. This fundamental opposition isn't just visually striking. It underpins the entire philosophical struggle of the series, the eternal battle between creation and decay. Every time a Hashira unleashes a blinding, sun-like attack, or a demon conjures a moonlit horror, you're not just seeing a cool effect. You're witnessing the manifestation of this cosmic struggle. Then there's a recurring motif of wisteria flowers. These beautiful, purple blossoms appear throughout the Demon Slayer world, often in unexpected places. They're not just pretty. They are a potent symbol of protection and purity. Wisteria is poisonous to demons, serving as a natural barrier and a place of refuge for humans and slayers. Think about the Wisteria House, a haven for slayers recovering from battles. Its gentle, soothing presence stands in stark contrast to the brutal world outside. In Infinity, even a fleeting glimpse of wisteria in a flashback or a brief moment of calm can serve as a visual shorthand for hope, safety, and the lingering beauty of a human world that the slayers are fighting to preserve. It's a quiet, elegant symbol that screams, this is what we're protecting. Now, let's talk about the visual genius of the Infinity Castle itself. This isn't just a setting. It's a living, breathing metaphor for the demon's distorted reality and the labyrinthine nature of trauma and evil. Its constantly shifting rooms, impossible angles, and disorienting layout represent the chaos, lack of foundation, and moral bankruptcy of the demonic world. It's a place without true grounding, where gravity is a suggestion and logic is abandoned, much like the twisted minds of the demons who inhabit it. The castle's architecture also reflects the psychological state of the demons, fragmented, disoriented, and trapped in a cyclical nightmare. Its endlessness mirrors the endless despair and suffering the demons inflict. Every time a hallway flips or a room disappears, it's not just a cool visual. It's a commentary on the inherent instability and ultimate futility of the demon's existence. Consider the eyes of the characters, especially the demons. The upper ranks often have kanji engraved in their eyes, denoting their rank. But beyond that, the eyes themselves are incredibly expressive and symbolic. The demon's eyes are often piercing, predatory, and devoid of true warmth, reflecting their monstrous nature. Yet, in moments of flashback or defeat, you might catch a flicker of their former humanity, a haunting emptiness, or a profound sadness. Tanjiro's eyes, on the other hand, are often filled with a burning resolve, an unyielding kindness, or fierce compassion. The eyes aren't just windows to the soul. They are visual cues for moral alignment, internal conflict, and the echoes of a past life. Finally, the pervasive use of patterns and motifs on clothing, especially the Haoris of the Demon Slayers. Tanjiro's iconic green and black checkered pattern, Jiro's two-toned Haori, Shinobu's butterfly design, Rengoku's fiery pattern. These aren't just fashion choices. They are visual extensions of their wearers' personalities, their lineage, or even their breathing styles. They serve as immediate identifiers, but also as subtle representations of their unwavering resolve and the traditions they uphold. In the chaotic, shifting landscape of the Infinity Castle, these consistent patterns become anchors, reminding the audience of the individual strengths and unwavering resolve of each slayer amidst the turmoil. Demon Slayer. Infinity isn't content with just dazzling you with action. It's a feast of the eyes and the mind, meticulously crafted with layers of symbolism and recurring motifs that deepen its themes of good versus evil, compassion, resilience, and the eternal fight for light against darkness. Keep your eyes peeled on your next viewing. You might just uncover even more hidden gems. All right, history buffs and franchise fanatics, let's zoom in on Demon Slayer, Infinity, and explore its place in the grand tapestry of the Demon Slayer saga and its delightful historical backdrop. This isn't just a random adventure. It's a critical, no-holds-barred plunge into the heart of the narrative. So, how does Infinity contribute to the overarching narrative? Oh, buddy, it doesn't just contribute. It is a narrative's major escalation. Think of the previous arcs as setting the stage, introducing the characters, and slowly ramping up the threat. Infinity is the moment the curtain drops on all that build-up and the real, full-blown war begins. This isn't a side quest or a filler episode. This is where the Demon Slayer Corps, led by Tanjiro and the formidable Hashiras, finally confront Musen Kibutsuji, the progenitor of all demons, in his home turf, the perpetually shifting, utterly mind-bending Infinity Castle. Every battle that unfolds in Infinity is a crucial piece of the puzzle. We're talking about the highest stakes fights against the upper-ranked demons, the most powerful and terrifying of Musen's subordinates. These aren't just one-off encounters. They are the culmination of years of the Slayers' training, their personal vendettas, and the very reasons they joined the Corps. Characters face off against the demons who killed their loved ones, pushing their abilities to breaking points and revealing shocking truths about the demons' pasts. The outcomes of these battles directly impact the Demon Slayer Corps' strength and their chances against Musen. It's an all-or-nothing assault that dictates the very direction of the story toward its ultimate conclusion. If you skip Infinity, you'll be utterly lost on what happens next. It's the central nervous system of the final conflict. Now, let's talk about the historical context. Demon Slayer is famously set during Japan's Taisho era, 1912 to 1926. And let me tell you, it's a delightful blend of fantasy and subtle historical immersion. This isn't a documentary, so don't expect absolute historical accuracy down to the last detail. There are, after all, flesh-eating demons and people who breathe fire through swords. However, the flavor of the Taisho era is wonderfully present and adds a unique charm to the world. The Taisho era was a fascinating, relatively short period in Japanese history, a time of transition between the rigid traditions of the Meiji era and the more tumultuous Showa era. It was an age of slow but steady modernization, where traditional Japanese culture began to playfully mingle with Western influences. You see this everywhere in Demon Slayer. Fashion. Notice the mix of traditional kimonos and haoris with more Western-style uniforms worn by the Demon Slayers, which were inspired by Prussian military uniforms popular at the time. When Tanjiro first arrives in Tokyo in earlier parts of the series, he's overwhelmed by the sight of people in suits and fedoras and the electric lights, a clear contrast to his rural upbringing. Infinity, though mostly within the supernatural castle, occasionally shows glimpses of this era's material culture in flashbacks or the environment leading up to the main event. Technology while the core of Demon Slayer is about sword fighting, elements of burgeoning technology creep in. The famous Mugen train arc highlights the steam locomotive, a symbol of modernization at the time. While not a focal point of the Infinity Castle itself, the very existence of such a modern invention within their world grounds a fantasy in a specific historical progression. Urban versus rural divide *. The series perfectly captures the stark contrast between the bustling, slowly modernizing cities and the traditional, often isolated rural areas. Tanjiro, coming from a mountain village, is initially a fish out of water in the city, reflecting the real-life experience of many Japanese people during this transitional period. This contrast also emphasizes the pockets of humanity that demons prey on, often in the less developed, unprotected areas. What Demon Slayer does so well is use this historical period as a backdrop rather than a strict historical narrative. It borrows elements of the time, the clothing, the architecture, the emerging technologies, to create a believable and immersive world that feels distinct from earlier samurai eras. It's enough to give a sense of place and time, without getting bogged down in historical minutiae. It's like a delicious seasoning that enhances the main dish without overpowering it. In essence, Demon Slayer Infinity is a crucial high-octane chapter that drives the overarching narrative towards its epic climax, showcasing the ultimate battle against the series' primary antagonist. And it does so within a meticulously crafted Taisho-era setting, offering a unique historical flavor that enriches the fantasy without ever feeling like a history lesson. It's a fantastic example of how a series can leverage its setting to enhance storytelling, making the audience feel truly immersed in a fantastical yet grounded world. All right, money mavens and box office wizards, let's talk about the green stuff behind the dazzling visuals of Demon Slayer Infinity. How does the film's budget stack up against its incredible production quality? And did it become a mountain of gold or a financial black hole? Prepare for some high-stakes financial fun. First off, when you witness the sheer, unadulterated visual spectacle that is Demon Slayer Infinity, your brain immediately screams, "This must have cost a fortune." And you'd be absolutely right. Ufotable, the animation studio, is renowned for its no-holds-barred approach to animation quality. Every fluid movement, every breathtaking elemental effect, every meticulously detailed shifting room in the Infinity Castle screams premium production. They don't cut corners. They redefine what corners are. While exact official budget figures for Infinity as a standalone film can be a bit shrouded in secrecy, especially for anime productions which often bundle budgets across an entire arc or trilogy, industry predictions for the entire Infinity Castle trilogy are in the ballpark of a staggering 200 billion yen. That's a massive investment. Now, does the production quality match that budget? Let me put it this way. The production quality doesn't just match the budget, it makes the budget sing. You see every single yen up there on the screen. The seamless integration of 2D and 3D animation, the incredible lighting, the sheer number of frames dedicated to fluid motion, and the intricate character designs and environments are all top tier. There's virtually no moment where you feel like the animation is anything less than stellar. So, in terms of bang for your buck on the visual front, Infinity is delivering a spectacular fireworks show. Was a financial success or a box office disappointment? Hold on to your Haoras, because Demon Slayer Infinity is poised to be an absolute colossal financial success. This isn't just speculation. It's a near certainty based on a franchise's undeniable track record and the hype surrounding this specific arc. Consider Demon Slayer Mugen Train. That film wasn't just a success. It became the highest-grossing Japanese film of all time, raking in over $500 million globally, and it did so during a global pandemic when many theaters were struggling. That set an unprecedented benchmark for anime films. Infinity is adapting an even more anticipated and action-packed arc, the literal climax of the manga. Executives at studios like Toho and Crunchyroll are already making bold predictions, believing that the Infinity Castle trilogy has a potential to surpass Mugen Train's incredible box office numbers. They're eyeing it as a milestone that could redefine the anime film industry. So, why such confidence? This leads us directly to the power of marketing and audience reception. Demon Slayer isn't just popular, it's a global cultural phenomenon. Asterisk pre-existing hype asterisk the anime series has built an enormous, dedicated, and highly engaged fan base worldwide. Fans have been eagerly awaiting the adaptation of the Infinity Castle arc for years. This built-in audience provides a massive head start for any theatrical release. The mere announcement of the trilogy sent ripples of excitement across the internet. Asterisk strategic release asterisk the decision to adapt this climactic arc into a multi-part film series, starting with Infinity, for theatrical release rather than solely as a TV season, is a shrewd move. It capitalizes on event cinema experience that Mugen Train proved so successful. Fans want to see these epic battles on the biggest screen possible with the best sound. Asterisk unprecedented marketing scale asterisk Crunchyroll, who is distributing the film globally outside of some Asian territories, has already stated their intention to give Infinity an unprecedented scale release. This means widespread theatrical distribution, strong promotional campaigns, and tapping into the franchise's immense social media presence. The trailers alone are garnering tens of millions of views. Asterisk critical and audience reception asterisk the Demon Slayer anime series has consistently received critical acclaim for its animation, storytelling, and characters. Audience reception has been overwhelmingly positive, with previous films like Mugen Train boasting near-perfect audience scores on review aggregators. This consistent quality and high satisfaction rate mean fans are not just showing up for the hype, but because they trust the production to deliver an exceptional experience. Word of mouth for Demon Slayer travels faster than Zenitsu in his sleep. In short, Demon Slayer Infinity is not just a film. It's a carefully orchestrated global event. Its massive budget is evident in every glorious frame, and it's practically guaranteed to be a financial titan powered by an insatiable global fan base and a meticulously planned marketing assault that leaves no fan behind. It's a textbook example of how a beloved franchise, expertly handled, can turn animation into absolute gold. All right, fellow Demon Slayer enthusiasts, this is the crucial intel you need to know about experiencing the epicness of Demon Slayer Infinity. Where can you feast your eyes on this masterpiece? And what's the absolute best way to soak it all in? Let's break it down. First and foremost, for the fullest, most jaw-dropping impact, Demon Slayer Infinity is designed for and demands to be seen in theaters. This isn't just a suggestion. It's a plea from your humble guide. Here's the lowdown on the theatrical rollout. Asterisk Japan asterisk. The film is set to premiere in Japan on July 18th, 2025. So if you happen to be in the land of the rising sun, you're in for an early treat. Asterisk global theatrical release asterisk Crunchyroll and Sony Pictures Entertainment are teaming up to bring this first part of the Infinity Castle trilogy to theaters worldwide. The global rollout begins in August 2025, with specific dates varying by region. Asterisk Southeast Asia and some other regions, including Pakistan, where you are right now. Look for it starting around August 12th, 2025. Get ready to battle the demons in the dark. Asterisk United States, Canada, United Kingdom, and India asterisk. You'll be able to catch it starting September 12th, 2025. And here's why the cinema is the ultimate viewing platform for Infinity. Asterisk the animation demands at asterisk Ufotable's animation is not just good, it's legendary. The fluid character movements, the blinding elemental effects of the breathing styles, the constantly shifting, dizzying architecture of the Infinity Castle. It's all designed for the largest screen possible. Watching Ashira unleash a technique on a massive screen is an entirely different beast than on a smaller one. You'll catch every intricate detail, every subtle flicker of light, and truly appreciate the artistry. Asterisk immersive sound asterisk the sound design in Demon Slayer is phenomenal. The clashes of Nicaran blades, the terrifying roars of demons, the subtle creaks of the shifting castle, and the emotional swells of the score, featuring new theme songs by Amber and Lisa, are meant to be experienced with a theater surround sound system. You'll feel every impact, every whisper, and every explosive ability reverberating through your very bones. It's an auditory feast that streaming simply cannot replicate to the same degree. Asterisk a collective experience asterisk. There's an undeniable magic to watching a film like Demon Slayer Infinity with a theater full of passionate fans. The collective gasps, the cheers, the shared laughter, and the palpable tension create an energy that elevates the entire experience. It's a communal event where you're all collectively immersed in Tanjiro's journey. Will it be available on streaming or digital rental? Eventually, yes, it's highly probable. Following its theatrical run, Demon Slayer movies typically find their way to streaming platforms, most notably Crunchyroll. Given that Crunchyroll is a distributor for the global theatrical release, it's a safe bet that they will be the primary streaming home once the exclusive theatrical window closes. Digital rental/purchase options on platforms like Amazon Prime Video, Google Play, etc. would likely follow suit. However, here's the kicker. If you truly want the fullest impact of Demon Slayer infinity, the kind that makes your jaw drop and your heart pound, you must prioritize the theatrical viewing. The scale of the battles, the intricate details of the Infinity Castle, and the sheer power of the sound design are all diminished outside of that big screen, big sound environment. Think of it this way. You wouldn't listen to your favorite symphony on a tiny phone speaker if you had the chance to hear it in a grand concert hall, would you? So, mark your calendars, rally your Demon Slayer squad, and prepare for an unforgettable cinematic experience. The Infinity Castle waits, and the best way to face it is in the dark, thrilling embrace of movie theater.